All right, joining us from Austin, Texas is Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch. Kate, nice to meet you.
Hi, good afternoon. Thanks for the walk-up music. That was fun.
Coming to the plate, batting second. Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch playing shortstop. All right, I got to ask, is that your law office, the waiting room, or is that your house that we're looking at? Nobody but you and I can see it, so.
That's right. I'm in my home office, and there's lots of plants and art, and I think of it as my sanctuary because I got to spend a lot of time in here, so it might as well be relaxing.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you practice what kind of law in Austin?
I'm an immigration lawyer.
Well, that's a lot of fun. Did you go to UT Law School?
I did. I was born and raised here in Austin, and I'm a double Longhorn, meaning I went to UT for undergrad and law school.
Okay. We've had some of your different professors and deans and head of different departments there. It's a very, very good and broad kind of cross-section. A lot of different kinds of law practiced and taught at UT.
Yeah, no, it's a great school. I got a really wonderful education. One of the best things about UT is the clinical program. And so the idea is, as a law student, you get to, if you enroll in a clinic, you can practice, a certain area of practice in law and represent clients and see if you like it. And so there's domestic violence and human rights and immigration. And that's what got me into immigration law, was my clinical experience.
All right. You wanted to talk today about DACA. But before we jump into that, you guys have just gone through, because you're going to be on last week, but you were still on generator, I was told, because of another cold snap down there, right? People lost a lot of power. Again, you guys are never going to learn.
I know, our infrastructure is really quite weak. And we got our generator after the major winter storm we had, and we said, we're never going to do this again. So we put one in, and we were really, really glad we had it, because we were without power, 4 or 5 days this week from it was an ice storm that weighed down all the trees, the 3,000 to 5,000 extra pounds on the trees, and so branches are falling everywhere and snapping.
So post the original Ted Cruz Memorial Ice Storm, you went out and got a generator.
Right. Yeah. I don't know where he went on vacation last week.
All right. So tell us about DACA. Your take on DACA. Is it in danger?
Yeah, I think it is in danger. The latest is there's been another lawsuit filed, led by Texas, of course, and a bunch of conservative states, challenging the program. And the history of the program, it was announced by Obama through executive action after congressional failure to do anything about the Dreamers. And so he announced this program that was, well thought out. It was someone can qualify if they've gone to or graduated from high school in the U.S. They came here under the age of 16 and they got here before June of 2007. And now the program's been ongoing for more than 10 years. And there are hundreds of thousands of dreamers who have gotten professional licenses, have bought homes, have started families. I work with a handful of dreamers in my law firm who are just incredibly wonderful, young, smart people with promising futures. And starting under the Trump administration, there were lots of attacks on the program, mostly through litigation. The most recent one was a lawsuit stating that Obama didn't follow the Administrative Procedures Act, right? When he announced DACA, he didn't announce a regulation and give time to the public for notice and comment. And so the response of the Biden administration was to do just that. So they announced this regulation, they gave time for notice and comment. They did not change the program at all, or expand it or anything like that. And, lo and behold, of course, these states have filed lawsuit again saying, but we still don't like it. And we want the program to go away. And it's clear that they're just going to do whatever it takes to keep attacking the program.
And the latest is the classic executive overreach rather than government overreach. This is executive overreach outside the scope of the executive power.
Right. And even though the president has now gone through the regulatory process.
Jumped through all the hoops, we still don't like it.
They still don't like it. And, but they don't, of course, give an answer to what they think should happen instead. They won't go so far as to say, we think all of the Dreamers' status should be revoked and they should be deported. They won't say that, but that it would be the natural consequence of the revocation of this program and congressional failure to act, on an ongoing basis, is that the Dreamers would lose their legal status. And so
would that not be like the perfect case for show who's going to have immediate and a harmful impact of this? It would be those 600,000 to 800,000 people who would be immediately impacted. Do you think you think a court would actually find they could say, yeah, all right, so Democrats screwed up, get over it, they're allowed to stay, but we're going to slap Biden's hand?
Well, I think that's why Judge Hainan, who, issued the original order against the program, didn't go so far as to revoke status or cancel the program because of the detrimental effect that would have not only on the Dreamers, but on all of us who rely on them and their stability. And so I think the same will be true. I mean, it's similar to the argument of the undocumented population. I mean, no one who has really looked at the numbers and the impact of what it would take to actually deport the population argues that that is in the best interest of the United States.
What, 12 million people?
Sure. It would be like dropping a bomb on our economy. First of all, we don't have the resources to do it. Second of all, it would put us on the ground. This is a time, I'm sort of moving beyond DACA and just talking about immigration overall, but this is a time where the U.S. needs immigrants more than we ever have before, and this has been an ongoing.
And since more have been getting processed, some labor markets have eased up. The demand.
Right, but you have to think about, just from an overall perspective also, the baby boomers are retiring, and for the first time next year, first time in this country's history, we're going to have more people over the age of 65 than we have under the age of 15. And so, it's like, again, let's play this out to the end. What do we need here in the U.S.? You can approach immigration from a humanitarian perspective and think about the impact on the immigrants. And of course, as an immigration lawyer, I have that perspective, and I think that it is a good one. However, I do a lot of debating and talking to conservatives about immigration issues, and they don't care at all about that. And so then I say, okay, well, let's talk about the impact on the U.S. economy and what we need here. And the truth is, we need immigrant labor here. So let's start there. Let's be reasonable, start with the truth, and then perhaps we can come together on resolution and cooperation and enough of this nonsense, filing these ridiculous lawsuits that lead us nowhere near resolution for anybody.
All right, so where do we stand now?
So the lawsuit is with Judge Hainan again, and they're in the period of, submitting arguments, et cetera. So we probably won't have a decision until April. In terms of the program, it's status quo, which is that existing Dreamers can continue to renew their status, and they have to qualify under the original rules of the program. They have to have gotten here before 2007. So you think about it, there's a lot of kids who don't qualify for DACA, but they're graduating high school. They're not going to college. They're not investing in themselves and their future because it's too risky. But to answer your question, the program continues for existing DACA recipients until further notice.
And this is the Fifth Circuit. Is this up to one judge or a 3-judge panel? Strictly one judge.
So this lawsuit is with Judge Hainan, which is a federal court, and then the appeal would go to the Fifth Circuit, and then it would go up to SCOTUS.
So what's being done for all of those children who've come across the border in the last 16 years that don't qualify for DACA? Let's say they came across the border, 3 years ago, and now they're in school in Kingsville, Texas, or Tucson, Tempe, Arizona, and they're going to school, and they have no status at all. They're not DACA, they're not documented, they're just nervous.
Yeah, they are. There is no overall program to protect them. There are some provisions of the law under humanitarian immigration law that would protect them if they were able to make their way through the court system. One, of course, is asylum if they come from a country.
Could we have another executive order, a new DACA 2?
I think that we should until Congress can act. But of course,
which will be never.
Right. And it'll get tied up in the courts.
Could a DACA 2, though, protect them? for the time
Yeah.
being. Give them some
If it-
status for the time being, and let the conservatives bomb away.
Yes, it would until an injunction. So a federal judge would have the authority to block it as soon as a lawsuit got filed. which
So
we can-
Judge Hainan is in Texas, correct?
Yes.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Good judge, bad judge, fair judge?
I used to think, I hesitate to opine on the air. I used to think he was a good judge until I saw some of his rulings, particularly on the DACA stuff, and he's fallen in my esteem. I'll say that.
Okay. We have obviously any number of people around Santa Fe who go down to the border and work in legal issues, housing issues, health issues along the border. Do you see immigrants passing through Austin? I mean, Austin, we're talking Texas here, but Austin is kind of a place kind of apart in a lot of ways, philosophically, politically, than the rest of Texas. Do you see immigrants in Austin, and how are they treated?
Sure. We do have a lot of immigrants in Austin, and I would say they're treated rather well. Austin is a friendly, welcoming city in terms of how it treats immigrants.
City government, good people?
City government, great people. Yes, very good people. It's a very expensive place to live,
Sure.
however. So a lot of the immigrants who do live in Austin tend to get, if they're low income, they get sort of pushed out into the suburbs around the city. So
Well, you're talking to people in Santa Fe. We kind of know that.
you get it, yeah.
We know that scenario. Those of us who work for a living. All right. Well, this is a very interesting thing. It's nice that talk to an attorney actually in Texas who cares about the immigrants and is looking out for the DACA kids who are no longer kids.
Thanks. Yeah. I mean, I've been an immigration lawyer in Texas now for 15 years, and I focus a lot on border enforcement issues. We've seen a lot, family detention, family separation,
Oh, God.
unaccompanied kids. And there's a lot of talk about the border policies and what to do. I think it's quite simple, but really overall, the answer to all of these questions is immigration reform that reflects the needs of this country and this economy. And if we could start there in the conversation, what do we actually need? Then I think we might be able to have a productive conversation. But as it is, it's just a bunch of battles coming at it from different perspectives, and we're not getting anywhere. Meanwhile, the situation is worsening for this country.
Yeah. Even in states that are, border states like Texas and Florida, it seems hopeless. I mean, you take a Cruz and a Rubio, and they have no incentive to solve this.
That's right, because, they put people on a plane to Martha's Vineyard, or they bus them to D.C. on Christmas Eve, and they're just splashed all over the news and the media. Their base is super happy, but it's their fault. It's their fault too. I mean, this rhetoric of immigrants are bad and dangerous that they spew inflames the base. But I will say, for anyone who's ever studied immigration policy historically in the United States, and you look at political cartoons from, the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s, talking about Irish Catholic, Italian, Jewish, Chinese immigrants, they're drawn as like rats swarming across the border. I mean, it's just like regurgitated rhetoric. We've been here before, seen it, done it. Can we not learn a little bit from history?
Well, I don't think Steve Miller or Bannon, thought they were geniuses enough to invent this whole thing. They just borrowed, from the same playbook.
Yes, and I try not to get inside the head of Stephen Miller whenever I can avoid it, but probably
pretty dark in there. Pretty dark.
Yeah, I imagine so. Yeah.
If people wanted to get hold of you, once again, it's Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, and the law firm is Lincoln-Goldfinch Law in Austin, Texas. Just Google that.
Yes, Lincoln-Goldfinch Law. Lincoln like the president, Goldfinch like the bird.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Been a pleasure.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Keep doing the good work down there, and, keep your head down. It's Texas.